Man, I guess this weekend Martinsville is just bringing out the worst in people. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Jet. Welcome back to episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop, recapping the NASCAR Xfinity series from the Martinsville Speedway. And I think everyone was expecting it was a wild ending to that race. We saw 13 cautions. The entire race, drivers for some reason just kept wanting to run into the back of each other. Very early on, you had Cole Custer and AJ Allmendinger. They made contact. Allmendinger had a tire cut down and he crashed, went into the wall out of the race. Luckily though, he won at Vegas a couple weeks ago, so he was already good. Then we had Sam Mayer just absolutely check up Parker Retzlaff and just not really dump him, but just kind of send him into the turn one wall. We had Sheldon Creed act like a menace, running over drivers. I mean, the entire race, drivers just running over each other. I don't know what it was in the air at Martinsville, I guess that night. The drivers just did not like anyone and just wanted to run over anyone. But one thing was a consistent theme. That 20 car, Aric Almirola, he was out front. He dominated the entire race, basically swept all the stages and led all but 100 laps to go to victory lane for, I believe, the fourth time in 2024 for the NASCAR Xfinity series. And I think he sweeps Martinsville as a whole in 2024. So a dominating win for Aric Almirola. However, everything behind him, though, was a bit interesting. We're going to talk about, of course, is Chandler Smith and Cole Custer. Now, Chandler Smith, he led some laps. He had a really good car, and it seemed as though in the closing laps of the race that he was the only one that could contend with Aric Almirola. He was running down the 20 car, the 00, and the 8 car. He had a really good car. He was able to get by Sammy Smith, and then he was able to get up to the back end of Cole Custer. And he tried very cleanly for numerous laps to get around the 00 car. Finally, he had enough, move Cole out of the way. As soon as that happened, a caution comes out for Brandon Jones spinning in turns 1 and 2. We get into a restart. Cole Custer, starting right behind Chandler Smith, knows what Smith did to him and says, all right, you're gone. He sends Chandler Smith way up out of the groove. Both drop numerous positions. Sammy Smith jumps to second place. Chandler Smith was able to climb back up to third place, but that was all he could do. Now, there was some history between these two drivers. Go back a few weeks ago at Kansas when Chandler Smith kind of come off a turn before battling for the lead, kind of moved up the racetrack, almost put Cole Custer in the wall. That is something that Custer mentioned by saying what goes around comes around. On top of that, when Chandler Smith moved Cole Custer, Custer felt like he was more than right to be able to get back at Chandler Smith. But the interesting thing is what happened after the race. Chandler Smith said on the radio after that by saying what he's going to do is get his effing ass beat after the race if he keeps effing around, punk ass, and then bitch. Basically what Smith said. But here's the thing. Cole Custer is built. He's built like a brick, bro. Smith, you're built like a twig. No offense. So if you're going to do something to Cole Custer, you better do something really good. And yeah, it did not go over that well, for at least for Chandler Smith. I mean, Chandler Smith, him and Custer were talking very aggressively, and then Smith just basically throws a weak ass, I'm not even going to call it a punch, just like I would equate that to more of a slap. Then you see him turn to NASCAR security, step back, wait for them to kind of intervene. So I'm sorry, but Smith, that was just weak. Like, if you're going to punch and stand there. Stay there. Like, all right, come on, let's go. We're going to fight. Let's fight. Don't just and then look back and wait for them to come in. No! If you're going to punch him and be like, come on, let's go. Like, that's what you got to do. Don't just like, oh, yeah, step in now. Like, come on. Okay, now, did Custer overreact a little bit? Yes, I feel like the contact at Kansas wasn't that egregious. I also feel like, though, that Smith is in his right because he's in a must-win situation. However, Custer knows that if Chandler Smith wins, Custer's out of the playoffs. So it's like both sides make sense. Like, yeah, you know, Chandler Smith, he has the faster car. He needs to get by him. So, yeah, it shouldn't be no surprise that he had to move you. But at the same time, Cole Custer knows that if Chandler Smith goes on and win this race, I'm out of the playoffs because Allgaier was third, Custer was fourth, Smith was fifth. So Custer couldn't have Chandler Smith win the race. So it made sense. Both have great arguments. It's a product of the playoffs. You know, when you have this winner take all stuff, this is what happens. But yeah, again, both are right in their own perspective. No one's wrong in my eyes. Both are right. But God, Chandler, come on, man. You got to work. We got. If you're gonna come back next year, you got to learn how to work on your punching skills. Okay, if you're gonna punch someone, punch him and stay. Don't punch and back away. Like, no. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was a pretty entertaining race. Again, everything happened behind Aric Almirola. He just had just one hell of a car. Justin Allgaier, I mean, he ran a pretty clean race, didn't make any big time moves, just ran his own race, did what he needed to do. Like I mentioned with Sammy Smith, he had a shot to win the race. Unfortunately, he didn't have the car. About half a second he was off from Aric Almirola when the checkered flag waved. Sam Mayer, he late in that race, around the same time when Custer sent Chandler Smith to Timbuktu over there, Sam Mayer had contact with multiple drivers, had the hood up on the car. His car looked like a mess. He was running over drivers, getting hit by drivers, and then he took the car behind the wall with just a handful of laps to go in the race, so he was done for the day. Jesse Love, I also forgot to mention about Jesse Love. Jesse Love had moments in the race where he showed some strong speed in the car, but he was another one. He was kind of like Sam Mayer. You knew there was no chance for him to have a shot at even contending for the race win. It seemed as though that the only drivers below the cut line that had somewhat of a chance were the Smiths of Chandler and Sammy. And of course, Chandler Smith, we talked about him, oh so close. It felt like he had the car. If maybe there was another restart, he maybe could have gone to the 20 car, because he was able to rally back up to third place. If there was another caution, could have passed the 8 car, maybe could have gone up and challenged the 20 car for the race win. But in the end, the championship 4 will be the 00 of Cole Custer, the 7 of Justin Allgaier, the 16 of AJ Allmendinger, and the 21 of Austin Hill. Very interesting 4 drivers racing for the title next Saturday at Phoenix. Of course, we will have an MDK race day previewing the championship race for the Xfinity Series and the other 2 trucks and Cup Series races. But I saw someone tweet this by saying, hey, we start out this weekend with an argument in trucks, then we got a punch/slap in the Xfinity Series. Are we going to have an all-out brawl for Cup? No, because it's next gen. Nothing's probably going to happen in the Cup Series, which is unfortunate because it has been maybe not so much entertaining so much on the racetrack, but definitely off the racetrack. A lot of storylines are coming up for all 3, or at least at the very least for the trucks and Xfinity Series. So much to talk about off the racetrack. But yeah, that's it for this episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Not much to talk about because not much really happened in the race in terms of actual battles. Just a lot of carnage, a lot of being and banging, a lot of pushing and shoving. Very entertaining race. But again, no one could touch really Aric Almirola. He was in a different zip code. That car was just really, really fast. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Cole Custer, Chandler Smith situation? Who do you think is right? Who do you think is wrong? Honestly, like I said, both are right. Both make really good arguments. Overall, 2 words. That's Martinsville. That's all you can say. That's Martinsville. And that's why I love it. But yeah, overall, not only that, but tell me what are your thoughts on the race and that weak-ass punch that Chandler Smith did. Again, all in the comment section down below. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow morning for MDK Race Day, previewing the Cup Series. And of course, following the Cup Series race, MDK Racing Victory Stop following the Xfinity 500. Until then, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.